I went to law school at night with my kids, and there weren't many women in our class, and we weren't particularly wanted. The only reason I got into Temple Night School is because I had a really high average, and evidently in those days, Temple wanted to raise its mean average.
Wait, I mean, starting with your own father, you know, you faced the obstacle of not being encouraged in what you wanted to do professionally
Yeah,
with your life.
yeah. Law was revered in my family. I have two brothers. My father wanted one of his sons to be a lawyer, and he pushed the law, and it was his daughter who picked up the whole idea of law. And I think it took him a long time to realize that he was proud of the fact that I got a law degree, and that my parents held the Bible when I was sworn in as a judge, but he still was sort of a little befuddled that it was his daughter that did it.
Right. What did he do? What
My
kind of?
father owned a bar
Uh-huh.
at a liquor store. My mother was an elementary school teacher.
Right. Well, that's the thing. I mean, women in that time, you could be a teacher, you could be a secretary,
Or a nurse.
a nurse, waitress. I mean, there weren't very
Yeah.
many women saying, "I want to go, not only be a lawyer, but I want to be a judge."
Well, it wasn't encouraged. And when I ran for judge in the Democratic primary, and Philadelphia's a Democratic town, so my election was the primary. If I won the primary, I was going to be a judge. And there were 45 people running for 10 positions, and there were, I think, 6 women, maybe,
6 out of 45.
out of 45 people. And 4 of us got elected. And that was, I mean, I had been one of those bra-burning feminists before. I marched for the ERA, and I wrote position papers for candidates, and I was president of the Philadelphia Women's Political Caucus. I mean, I did all of those things. But when I actually ran for judge, I didn't realize that actually being a woman was helpful at the polls, and it was really interesting. It was not helpful with the political higher-ups necessarily, except those in my ward that were supporting me. But the voters, there was a group that called themselves the Committee to Elect Women Judges, and of the 6 of us, they picked 4 that they felt had the qualifications they wanted. And 2 of us were white and Jewish, and 2 of us were African American and Catholic. So they weren't exactly completely diverse. And they went around and got us speaking engagements and raised money for us. And when I ran in the general election, people would say to me, "I don't remember your name, but I know I voted for you because I voted for the 4 women judges." Wow. And that gave me a little insight into possibilities. You know, that women could be valuable assets at the polls. And you look at the Superior Court today, our middle-level appellate court is mostly women.
And, you know, I don't want to get too far ahead of our story here, but I know that one of the things that you're involved in today, and I do want to spend some time talking about this, is mentoring for younger women lawyers, and the role that women in leadership positions can play if more women can get to positions of leadership. And so it's interesting, the story of when you were first elected, because here is an organization that's really actively supporting and encouraging women to get into those positions.
But then,
how helpful that was.
Well, it was helpful in getting me in, absolutely. But then once I was elected, there were, out of 95 judges, there were only 7 women on the bench, and the 4 of us made 11. So when all of us, the 4 of us,
That's okay.
When
We've had cell phones go off during our taping before.
I feel terrible.
No, don't.
And so,
it's real. This is real, folks.
When I got into the court, I figured these 7 women were going to mentor us and help us out. And it didn't happen. Of the 7 women, only 2 of them were interested in reaching out and saying, "Hi, welcome, let me show you the ropes." The other 5 were not interested.
Why do you think? Now, you could see why in business, I'm not saying justifying it, but you can come up with all kinds of reasons why someone wouldn't reach out a hand, help somebody up or mentor. But why in this area, why on the court wouldn't an already established female judge reach out to you newcomers?
Okay. What I think is, and this is a learning for us as women, I think even though they were in positions of power, their position on the court was tenuous. And if one of them was promoted or put in an assignment that was particularly a good assignment, they were afraid if they mentored us and showed us the way to do it, then we'd come up and take it away from them.